Hey guys, Brewster here. Behind me is the 767-300ER cockpit build that I've been building for the last 2 years on and off. And although it's not quite finished, I think it represents the 767 reasonably well, and hopefully before too long I'll have most of the functions of the 767 replicated here. This video is basically for those who are interested in cockpit building, perhaps don't know where to start, and are just interested to know a little bit more about how to go about building a cockpit, and basically how I built this one and how I got it to the stage that it's at today. If you look on YouTube and the internet as a whole, there's countless different sim builds that are out there. A lot of them are 737s, which is an extremely popular aircraft that's flying out there today. I wanted to be a little bit different and go with the 767. It's a much loved aircraft, still flying widely around the world, and I was going for the mixture of ethos and analog gauges, which suits me just fine. What I want to do is show you how I built this flight sim, how I got it to the stage that it's at now. So what I'll do is I'll go through the different stages of the build and show you exactly how everything works and how reasonably easy it is to get a sim like this happening. It just takes time, patience and a lot of research. I think research would have to be the biggest key point when it comes to building a flight sim. Without research we wouldn't be where we are today when it comes to flight sim building. So I'll go around and I'll show you a little bit about what I've done so far. Okay guys, so what does my flight sim consist of so far? Obviously I started with the shell. Okay, that's probably an important part to start with. Where you start on the shell is up to you. Some people start with what we call the main instrument panel, which is basically where I started. If we go on the outside there, you can see that pretty much I started with this framework here, and then continued on the framework down the side and did all the bottom stuff first, right around, and then I started adding the top part. And once I completed the top part here of what we call the glare shield, I then started constructing the top part right across the top area. Once I'd done that, I then started to fill in the main instrument panel with the actual instrument cutouts, and then I worked on the glare shield, and then from there I started to fill in the panels around the side, and of course the overhead and the interior came afterwards. I hadn't put it on a base originally to start with, which I highly recommend. It just saves a lot of hassle later on. I just had it on this horrible floor, which made it very cold and hard to work with because you couldn't manoeuvre the sim around. So some of you may be asking, I'm not very good at woodwork, how do I build something like that? Let me tell you, I'm not very good at woodwork either, but I got the plans for this 767 sim off a great fella by the name of Ian Cameron, who has his stuff and a tutorial on how to build a shell on Yahoo Group's forum called 767 Cockpit Builders Forum, and he's very helpful. The internet houses all sorts of resources on dimensions, how different people built their flight sim. Whatever it is you choose to build, you can find it on the internet on how to do it. Someone's probably done it before and put all the information that they've got, and of course they've done all the hard work for us, and we can just go ahead and continue building and make our own mistakes, learn from those, and then perhaps help people in the long run with our stuff as well. Some people ask the common question, where do you get all your instruments from? How do you go about putting all the instruments in there? All I'm running are 3 19-inch 4x3 monitors. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now if I go around the back of the flight sim, you'll see there they are. There's one in here, that's a Dell, and there's another one over there, that's another Dell. I've taken the stands off the back, and I've also taken the bezels off the front so they fit snug up against the main instrument panel. And I've very poorly, because no one comes back here and sees this very much, blocked them in against the main instrument panel here. Sorry, this keeps going out of focus a little bit, it's a bit dark back there. So, but there you go, they're the 3 main instrument screens that fit up against there. And then all you do through research and trial and error is you cut out the holes in this front plate, which is just MDF painted, and then you've already pre-arranged your instruments on the screens so that when you put the front plate over the top, it just matches up with the holes, and you do the same with the others. My screens here, this screen and this screen here are exactly the same. So the captain and the co-pilot screen is using a splitter cable. Okay, so what's represented here is exactly the same as here. So whatever happens to this screen will happen to this screen as well. And this is the separate screen for the engine instruments. Same thing there. How I've placed the instruments on the screen is using a fantastic program called FS Panel Studio. Now with FS Panel Studio you can create your own panels. This one here is a panel text by Henry, who's also a cockpit builder, who sort of did what I wanted to do when it came to building a couple of instrument panels. So therefore I just used his config file, and in conjunction with FS Panel Studio I adjusted a few things and basically just moved the instruments onto the panel where I wanted them on the screen. So because obviously when you put the front plate over the instruments and start up your sim, sometimes the instruments don't line up properly with the holes, and of course you want them to line up as best as possible. So then I can go back into FS Panel Studio, move the instruments around a little bit so that they match where the holes are, and so everything lines up properly. That's how we get the instruments to show through our main instrument panel. I did mention earlier a splitter cable. The splitter cable is this one here. It comes out of there, splits into 2. One of them goes over to the captain's panel, the other one splits off and then shows onto the co-pilot's panel. So it saves having to open up and undock another screen and take up more computer resources. The computer I'm using is this little ripper here. It's a Core i5-760 and it's running at the moment at 2.8 gigahertz, and it's quite adequate for Flight Sim 2004, which is obviously the software I'm using at this time, and it runs the computer fairly well. Inside are 2 graphics cards. Obviously I need 2 graphics cards because I'm running 4 screens really. I'm running on the first ATI 5670. I'm just running out here the projector, and there's obviously a spare port, VGA port, on the other side of that graphics card. On the second graphics card I'm running both the captain and co-pilot screens and also the center engine instrument screen. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4 screens, and I've even got a spare port if I wanted to use that one later.